We're live. We should start today with an applause, Amala.
Oh,
yes.
I'm applauding.
Welcome, everybody. Amala.
Hi, guys. It's good to be here.
I'm so thankful to have Amala here. Jill Simonian. I'm Jill Simonian with PragerU Kids. It's been a while since I've popped onto our Facebook page here on PragerU and done a live talking about issues in education, our PragerU Kids program, all of those wonderful things. I am super happy to be here today because I started today with applause because I am applauding a group of brave, articulate, smart, committed, dedicated parents in a school district very nearby, quite frankly, to where we happen to be in Southern California. I'm talking about today the Glendale Unified School District. Amala, have you seen what is happening in Glendale Unified this week? Daily Caller, we've had videos and articles that have gone viral. Daily Caller picked up this story. I'm curious if you know anything about it as of yet.
No, I'll be learning today.
Oh my goodness, it's a surprise. It's a surprise.
Great,
okay,
great.
we've got a series of leaked emails, testimonies from parents, information from teacher administrators talking about how, in so many words, socialism is a good thing, how, quote unquote, we are all queer in some ways. These are things that they're discussing with kids. And I got to preface this conversation by saying straight out of the gate, I happen to know folks on both sides of this equation. So if you're watching on the Glendale Unified School Board, yes, it's me, Jill Simonian. I know you. I respect you. And the group of parents, it's Jill Simonian. I know you. I respect you. I had to be, full disclosure. We believe in transparency here. I know people on both sides of this equation, but that doesn't keep us from speaking truth and really discussing what's going on. So, Amala, I'm going to ask you to bring up the first article from Daily Caller explaining what the heck is happening in Glendale Unified with their compromised education system regarding LGBTQ curriculum and discussions in the classroom. Which one are we bringing up first?
Glendale Unified Schools takes a more aggressive approach to teaching critical race theory, LGBTQ ideology.
Okay. All right, here we go. I'm looking at the article now. Let's read the first couple sentences. A public school administrator in California went on multiple email rants to his colleagues calling for a more aggressive approach to implementing critical race theory and LGBTQ ideology into classroom learning, according to emails obtained by Daily Caller. Let me tell you this, people watching, and I want people to weigh in with the comments. These emails, I believe there were upwards of 10,000 emails that were collected through a public information request regarding this topic. And I'm just going to keep going on. Craig Lewis, an administrator at Glendale Unified School District, began one email by talking about how STEM jobs are sexist and gender biased. The same email encouraged teachers to teach that every society and culture embraces LGBTQ plus ideology and that socialism is the normal human condition. Let's go ahead and pull up his email. I just want to take a quick look at that paragraph. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm not surprised by this whatsoever.
Right.
Taking a more aggressive approach to CRT and gender ideology. You mean like we've been saying for the past, I don't know how long?
Right.
Shocker.
Right. Now, I got to say, just, as a parent who used to have kids in public schools, this whole thing falls under this umbrella once again. Anyone who's watching, parents, teachers, educators, all of this stuff, all of these ideologies fall under this umbrella of DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Beautiful, lovely words that are now being ramrodded through virtually every single school district, saying that DEI is going to make our district better. DEI is going to make us more inclusive. The problem with DEI is that it is rooted, a lot of educators will say, we're not teaching critical race theory. We're not teaching the theory that, like colleges and law schools have come up with. DEI is rooted in critical race theory, and DEI, according to a very prominent California teacher who has gone viral against all of this stuff, Kali Fontanilla, who I spoke with, DEI is actually worse because DEI takes the theory of critical race theory and actually teaches students and teachers and administrators how to implement it in real life settings. So DEI teaches people how to effectively, practically treat others differently through a lens of critical race theory. So if you've got DEI in your district, I want you to weigh in below, but let's take a look at the screenshot of the email to get a close-up about what Craig Lewis, whose title is Restorative Practices and Positive Behavior Intervention and Support. History, Social Science, Teaching and Learning. What is that, a title? That is the longest title in the history. Restorative practices and that's a red flag word right there for all parents, by the way. Restorative practices.
Yes.
Can you describe sort of what the deeper meaning of that is?
Well, restorative implies that there's something wrong and that we need to restore it. And it's really contingent upon this idea of oppression and reaching out to these marginalized groups and restoring what was taken from them. In this case, we're talking critical race theory, which pertains to race, and gender theory, which pertains to gender and sexuality, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So these school districts, Glendale Unified in this case, we see has an administrator dedicated to restorative practices and positive behavior intervention and support. Let's see if his email here reflects positive behavior. And there is a highlighted thing here. We will also teach that LGBTQ plus is everybody, every society, every culture group, every age, over all time, with the only difference being the degree to which dominant entities are willing to cause injury physically or emotionally to others in an attempt to enforce conformity to their own narrow construction of normality, while perhaps even hinting that not only is socialism the normal human condition and that we are social by nature, but also that we are all probably best described as queer. This is confusing to me. And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot, Amala. Can you interpret this for me? Because this is super confusing.
Sure. Basically, it is about, you'll hear that leftist phrase of we're queer, we're here, get used to it type of thing. He's basically saying this exists in every single society and every single culture group, and these people exist. In fact, you could use queer as a term to describe everybody. Again, this idea that sexuality is a spectrum and everybody is on that spectrum. And if we're all on that spectrum, we're technically all queer, correct?
Right.
And he's saying the only difference is that different societies look kindly on LGBTQ people or are more accepting, and others are trying to, pound it out of people and make them conform to this heterosexual norm.
Right. And here's my answer to that. None of this belongs in a school atmosphere.
I agree.
None of this belongs in a school atmosphere at all. So again, Daily Caller has all of these most of them, a majority of these emails, I believe. Daily Caller has exposed these emails that were leaked by a group of parents. I want to listen to one of the parents that spoke at the recent Glendale Unified School Board meeting. And I want to take a moment and just to listen to her, how she addressed the school board. Can we play that clip?
Sure, here we go.
Okay. These are 8-year-old children that she is trying to hold a sexual orientation class with. A parent shared their concern and their objection to it and pulled their kid out. And instead of this teacher being concerned of what she did wrong, she goes to a district employee and asks for ways of how she can continue to teach sexual orientation to her 3rd grade class. You guys want us to believe that this isn't a propaganda, that no agenda is being held? This wasn't just any sexuality class. This was specifically designed 3 days a week. She taught LGBTQ curriculum in her class. It raises the question, how many of those students are excelling in that classroom? Is everybody in that class getting A's in math, English, grammar, social studies? That we can dedicate 3 days a week to teach 8-year-olds about sexual orientation? I don't care what kind of sex is being discussed. The word sexuality, nudity does not belong in the ears in a classroom of 8-year-old kids.
And I'm going to applaud right there. That's what we're going to call it. I'm going to applaud that. I am acquainted with this mother, shall we say, and I don't want to spill anything, before it's time, but I'm likely going to be talking with her for a video that will be for our PragerU Kids prep members to view and learn from, and hopefully ask her questions. But what she was returning, bravo to that parent. I mean, every time I see parents' bravery at school board meetings, it is not easy to get up there, and I'm thankful that there are a group of dedicated parents in the Glendale Unified School District asking these questions and just really being truthful and transparent in, hey, this type of stuff does not belong. And the question she raised about are all kids getting A's in every subject, isn't that the foundation of what education is supposed to be? Why are you putting all this extra stuff in when the basics for children to be educated are not succeeding in that particular district? What she was talking about was a specific third grade classroom that obviously you probably got the gist, but there was a third grade classroom last year. The teacher was giving LGBTQ lessons. A parent expressed concern, saying my child's not ready for that. The teacher then tried to figure out how to continue teaching the curriculum anyways. It's an overreach into parental rights. It's a violation of it's a direct violation towards us parents and grandparents who really do not agree with certain topics being discussed at school, and it's really inappropriate. I'm curious if we have any comments. Are there any parents or teachers in the Glendale district that are maybe watching this right now? Do we have any comments?
Well, there's parents from everywhere watching this. Ruth says here, stop teaching our kids what they don't need to know at that age. They don't teach sex education at that age, so why teach about other stuff at that age?
Exactly. And that's very true. And it's something for all of us to pay attention to in each of our own states. Because I'll tell you, here in California, I believe, if I'm mistaken, forgive me, but the last I heard was that in California, sex education begins at grade 5. So again, I've got to double check this. That's the last I heard. But the beginnings of sexual education in schools begins at grade 5, which in my opinion is not appropriate, especially when you are factoring in all of these very, very radicalized videos about sexuality and gender conformity, and you can change your gender, because it's not only about the human body's development, and this is what happens with our bodies through a scientific lens anymore. Parents, be aware. Sex ed now includes gender identity, gender transitioning, being attracted to others, sexual acts. These are all things that we really do need to pay very, very, very close attention to. Any other questions? I'm trying to look up the feed in my Facebook, in my own Facebook page, and I can't find the comments to the videos. Otherwise, I would look it up. I don't.
There's people
Amelie,
writing.
you are not my assistant, and I know that.
Oh, you're fine. Basically, there's people writing that you, again, should not be teaching this in schools. And if this is a conversation that you want to have with your children at some point in their lives, you do that at home. You should not expect school teachers to be doing this for you. Exactly.
So here I'm going to be devil's advocate, just because I think Amala is always a good person to play devil's advocate with. When we looked at these emails, and, this parent group in Glendale filed the public records request to expose all of these emails of Craig Lewis and what, his rants about how, against anyone who thinks has conservative values. There's all these emails, rants. You can look it up in the article and read them for yourselves. But devil's advocate, when we say that we don't want this taught, aren't we violating certain people by not including their lifestyle in schools?
No, and here's why. Because we're not including heterosexual education in schools either. We're not saying, hey, kids, here's a relationship and that you could possibly have, and here are all the sexual education tools and tricks that you need that go along with that relationship. We don't want any of that in schools whatsoever. And it goes with the leftist ideology. We're not advocating that you go and teach conservative ideology in schools. We're advocating that you take all of it out and teach education as you should be.
Correct. Amala gets an applause for that one. See, I knew you could handle it.
Thank you.
I knew she could handle it. They were not planned, by the way.
Try my best.
All right. Yes. Okay. So anyways, you can go to Daily Caller. You can find all of these emails. A big bravo to Glendale Unified parents who are standing up unabashedly, dedicated to really asking hard questions. And if I have, like I said, I know people on both sides of this because, surprise, I live in the Southern California area and I am Armenian American, and there happens to be a lot of Armenian Americans in positions of authority and influence in Glendale, California. And I know many of you, and I've talked with many of you personally about this, but school board, Glendale Unified School Board, start answering questions. I want to ask of the Glendale Unified School Board to be brave, to stand up for what is appropriate and not appropriate in schools. And here's a big one. Please hold any compromised educators accountable for their actions. When you unleash emails like this, where you see that administrators in positions of influence and authority are ranting against thousands and thousands of parents who hold values that he does not happen to agree with, please hold these educators accountable and say that's not right. We're all here together. We all need to listen to each other. And if parents do not want their children learning about sexualized education or curriculum, please listen. That's all I got to say. Now it's time for the plug for PragerU Kids.
Sure.
Because here's another fun fact. Mothers are not birthing people.
That is a fact. If I ever heard one.
I'm not saying that. I'm laughing because, there is a narrative out there now that specifically says, oh, let's not use the words moms and dads. Some school districts, as we have discussed on this show, have specifically said, oh, we are no longer going to use the words mom, dad, mother, father in classrooms because we want to be all inclusive. That's not inclusive. It's out there. It's not appropriate. We got a book for your kids. Today is Mother's Day, talking about the special role that mothers, yes, in fact, mothers play in all of our lives. And it's a sweet little book. It's not political, believe it or not. I used a political phrase to sort of get your attention there. But it's a book about some mothers in history. Abigail Adams, Anna Lee Fisher, working moms, stay-at-home moms, and the special role that moms play in our lives and how it is one of our most important values and gifts to honor our parents. Honor thy mother and thy father, one of the commandments. So, PragerU Kids is not teaching ideologies that are infiltrating our classrooms. What we want to do is a return to a values-based education system where we can celebrate who we are as families, as Americans, as people who celebrate freedom under God, equality under God. And this is our latest book, Otto's Tales. You can get it. It's not a gift for moms, but it's our monthly offering for our children to build your library of all things that all things that celebrate our values that the schools are not offering anymore. So if your school won't say, here's the value of mothers, then we're saying it. Here's the value of mothers. Any other comments to close on? Is there any comment? I'm trying to look. A comment of hope. Oh, Beatrice Kodadi left. I'm going to wink at you, girl. She left a comment here. Link to the group, Glendale Unified Parents Voices. Thank you for all of you are doing. We respect you, and we value your voices. We value your bravery, and we just, we want to remind all of you to subscribe to PragerU.com/kids, PragerU Kids, to help you out in getting you educational and entertaining materials for children, kindergarten through 12th grades that many of the schools have abandoned. We've got you covered. All right. With that, I'm going to say goodbye.
Awesome. See you guys.
Goodbye. Thanks, Alma.